So we're all familiar with Rothana Heavy Engineering, the manufacturing firm that was responsible for the production of many of the vehicles and equipment utilized by the Grand Army of the Republic during the Clone Wars. But what happened to them after the war? Well, today we're going to speculate a little bit on what could have happened to Rothana following the end of the conflict. I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to head down below and hit that subscribe button. So, before we dive into this, I want to get one thing out of the way right up front. There is no canon answer to this question. There is no defined outcome for Rothana Heavy Engineering. They simply stop being talked about during the war, and they disappear into obscurity. Legends does have a little bit more than that, but it is still very vague, and the role Rothana played following the end of the conflict is often downplayed and sort of tucked away in the corner. So we're going to do a lot of speculating on what could have happened to Rothana Heavy Engineering, instead of discussing what we know for a fact happened, because we don't know. So let's start by talking about what Rothana Heavy Engineering was. Rothana Heavy Engineering was a subsidiary of Kuat Drive Yards that functioned more or less as an independent company, and its big advantage was its main production facilities on Rothana were tucked away and hidden from the galaxy, so it was the perfect place to manufacture a massive fleet of warships for a secret army, or a unthinkable number of tanks for said army. On top of that, during the construction of the clone army, a secret hyperspace lane was set up from Rothana to Kamino to easier facilitate the transportation of these war equipments from their production facilities on Rothana to where the clones were being bred on Kamino for training and eventually staging purposes. But when the war broke out, the secret was out of the bag, and everybody knew that the Grand Army of the Republic existed, and pretty quickly people figured out where these vehicles came from. Throughout the war, Rothana Heavy Engineering would continue to manufacture replacement parts and conduct repairs, and continue to manufacture war goods to supply the Republic during the conflict, and as far as I'm aware, never became the direct target of a separatist assault throughout the entire conflict. But that's basically where its canon story ends. Its legend story goes a little bit further. In Legends, during the reign of the Empire, it did continue to supply resources, vehicles, and surprisingly bred livestock for the Galactic Empire, but was eventually sort of just abandoned by the Empire, as there were other suppliers that could provide these same goods in a less costly manner. One of the big advantages of Rothana for the Republic was its secrecy, but when the Empire was in power and building its massive military, it didn't really need secrecy to support the production of war equipment. They could just do it. So the advantages of Rothana being tucked away in a hidden corner of the galaxy were basically lost on the Empire, and as such, it didn't hold that value. On top of that, Rothana is really a secretive division of Kuat Drive Yards. So, if I had to take a guess, I think the most likely outcome was, following the end of the Clone Wars, with the Empire being a more out-in-the-open massive military force, the decision was made by the executives at Kuat Drive Yards to simply close Rothana Heavy Engineering and move their personnel and expertise from Rothana to Kuat, where they could use the primary shipyard facilities there instead, which are likely more capable than those on Rothana anyway. This aligns with the fact that during the Galactic Civil War, we don't see the Empire actually fielding that many vehicles from Rothana Heavy Engineering. Following the end of the Clone Wars, many of the old Clone Wars vehicles would stick around, but they would fall into states of disrepair and be retired relatively quickly, with only a few of them remaining in service in the fringes of Imperial space, on backwater outposts and such. Most of the Imperial military would use newer vehicles that were all designed by Kuat Drive Yards and manufactured by Kuat Drive Yards, which, once again, could have been using the expertise and even the exact professionals that were present at Rothana Heavy Engineering. Rothana Heavy Engineering was, after all, owned by Kuat Drive Yards. But there are other possibilities. Perhaps it wasn't shut down by Kuat Drive Yards themselves, but was instead nationalized by the Galactic Empire. We see this a lot in Imperial history. The Empire often nationalizes corporations that they either want direct control over for security reasons, or that they feel are at risk of falling to control of rebel factions. A great example of this was Incom, which was nationalized by the Empire mostly because of concerns that they could become an asset to a future rebellion, which they kind of did even after being nationalized. So it's possible that that is what happened to Rothana Heavy Engineering. The Empire saw them as more of a liability. The ability to build a secret army, after all, is a outstanding capability, especially when you're planning a rebellion against a galactic government. So, perhaps the Empire would have seen Rothana Heavy Engineering as a potential threat to their power and nationalized them and brought their production facilities and personnel under the direct control of the Imperial government, which does make sense and does fit the Empire's sort of standard operating procedure in these kinds of situations. But hopefully we'll get an answer to that someday. I'm not holding my breath on that. I know it's no one's top priority to tell us what happened to Rothana Heavy Engineering, but it would be cool to find out someday in a story down the line somewhere. If you'd like to learn about one of Rothana Heavy Engineering's greatest contributions to the Grand Army of the Republic, the low-altitude assault transport, the Republic gunship, I'll leave a link up here to a video on that. And I'd like you to let me know down in the comments what you think happened to Rothana Heavy Engineering. Do you think they were shut down by Kuat drive yards and simply roped into the larger apparatus of the massive shipyard? Or do you think they were shut down by the Imperial government for one reason or another? Or do you think something else happened? Do you think they're still operating, for example? Let me know down below in the comments. And if you have anything else you'd like to see me cover in Star Wars or anywhere else in science fiction, you can also leave that down below as well. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.